everyone, it's Jack here, hope you're good. It's the 8th of May 2020 right now, still in the midst of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and therefore making adjustments and wondering and pondering what does MSK practice face in the brave new world that's coming. Super excited to announce what we think is going to be a helpful event in that direction, which is called Therapy Live. It's the biggest event, probably the biggest thing we've ever done at Physio Matters, and we're doing it at a time where we think you need it most. And that is because we as clinicians feel we need it most. How can we make sure we consolidate quality education at a time that we need to have sensible clinical discussions about how best practice looks with regards to various different body parts, systems, but also then what does the outlook look like? Discussions, panels, debates around policy, workforce planning, working across the MSK professions to best optimise the way in which we can make impact through rehabilitation and MSK care for our patients at this difficult time. Therapy Live is going to be on the 26th of June 2020, which is the last Friday in June, where we've tried to time it so that some sense of normality of sorts, or a new normal, is going to be happening around that time, whereby we're at least going to be seeing some patients face to face, we anticipate, by that point, and starting, although probably under new provisions, we will start to be trying to phase in or interface between virtual consults and some level of normality of care. That is where we just don't want you to feel like you're without, that you've been rusty or you're feeling like you've not been able to get involved in care and practice. We want to make sure that we get you as sharp as we can. Lots of people have been doing lots of thinking, both in terms of clinical and policy in the meantime, so we want you to be at the cutting edge of practice, and that's why we're doing this as almost like a massive content dump, trying to get as many podcast style things in your minds as possible at this point in time. So 26th of June 2020, it's super exciting. Now, if you're fearful already, we're having messages from people that are fearful about the fact that this probably, it could be a 2-week show rather than a 1-day show, so they're not going to be able to absorb as much content as they want to, and they are going to be spoke for choice, jumping between streams. Don't worry. It will all be recorded, and we've got the facility to do that easier than we would do. I mean, we record everything from our live events anyway, but generally speaking, we're going to have the facility or technology to be able to try and record this material, and then it will be available to you on therapistlearning.com, our new platform with SIF for subscribers. We've been working with them, as you might have heard in recent announcements, on this curated platform of content to make sure we keep quality high in an era of quantity amongst MSK content. So we've got that ability for us to be able to get you that material that you miss on the day through therapistlearning.com. So really excited. Therapy Live is the event, therapistlearning.com, the ongoing learning platform, including for material from Therapy Live. So really excited that you don't have to miss out. You don't have to bend over backwards to have 3 different screens going on at the same time. So we will get that material to you, and it will be available after the show as well. So, what is it? Therapy Live is a multi-room, multi-stream virtual event, a way in which we can bring all of the various different elements of MSK practice to the masses in such a way that an in-person show would be incredibly challenging to do. It's already a challenge even virtually, but generally speaking, if we can try and create the infrastructure and we can try and create the impact by drawing you guys in, we think that thousands, tens of thousands of delegates can congregate and be interactive online at a time where, of course, in-person events can't happen. Also, the opportunity that we'll be able to bring you through the virtual online interactive services is such that we'll be able to enhance the experience for you in such a way that would be really challenging for you to do in an in-person show. And here's the kicker, we are making it free at the point of access, as we are famed for doing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about why we've decided to do Therapy Live. Various different things that we did. As soon as we started to get the grips of just how serious this was all going to be, we started to make plans for a variety of different ways in which we can help. You'll have heard some of the emergency podcasts, you'll have heard some of the work we've been doing through MSKR to try and help inform sensible policy making at this time. But this was one of the things that we sort of saw as being a real thing that if we could get the infrastructure right, we'll give it a go. And it's coming good, and it's so exciting now that this is working. But essentially, we were working on some infrastructure to try and do green events, roadshow events and live stream events, webinar style events that we were going to do through learning what we've done through the Big R's conference, as well as some of the work we've done with MSKR. But we've just brought that forward and tried to knit that together because of the amount of educational content that is going to go to waste over this summer. The amount of events that have had to be cancelled or postponed, it's devastating, and it could be devastating to the industry and also disheartening to people that were otherwise looking forward to both delivering and receiving that content. Obviously, yeah, you can just postpone things, but fundamentally you miss the moment, and we really didn't want to do that. Secondly, we were hearing from some brilliant digital innovators. There were some great people that we were already talking to about helping to promote their work and their innovations through apps and other digital technologies that were stepping up in light of the pandemic and trying to reach an audience of clinicians to try and make their life easier. And the interface between technology and humans right now is incredibly important. And so some of those products and services were struggling to reach you guys, and we wanted to help them beyond just a tagline in a podcast or mentioning them and stuff like that. So we wanted to try and bring that together, and we think we've found the perfect way. Therapy Live, massive conference, but online, using MSK's sort of unifying principles at the heart of what we're doing, as well as the Physio Matters way, which is discussion, debate, conversation, actually active Q&A sessions rather than a few token questions at the end, sensible active moderators who don't pretend to be sitting on the fence, that can do sensible applied devil's advocacy, but also holding people's feet to the fire because they are clinicians with an active interest and that are close to the evidence base. So that's the Physio Matters way, the Big R's way, the MSKR way, all the things we've been working on over the years. How can we step up and apply that learning to an event? And that's what we think Therapy Live is. Now, one of the things that's worth mentioning is that this multi-stream, multi-room means that it's some of the biggest names in the game, and it means that you're going to be spoke for choice. So I want to just give you a few clues as to how spoke for choice you are going to be. Sort of tempted to just read out the entirety of the speaker list at the moment because it really is a who's who of the industry, as well as some of the brightest names you might not have heard of, but people that we've been keeping an eye on, rising stars, as well as really brilliant clinicians that bring some of the evidence to the front line, or some of the ideas behind, sensible application of different techniques. They are some of the best in the business for that, and so really excited to bring you that list. So please do check that out at therapy-live.co.uk for the full speaker list, of course. But I'm just going to give you a bit of a clue as to what we're dealing with. So in terms of streams, one of the things that we ended up starting with like anything, with Physio Matters, Choose Health, thinking in public, we always think of a catchy title and then work from there. So we came up with the idea of a Limposium, which we just loved. And so you've got the lower and upper Limposiums, which are absolutely brilliant clinical content. Likes of, in the upper Limposium, we have Joe Gibson, Deb Stanton, Nina Schmid, Val Jones, Andrew Jaggi, Adam Meekins. Absolutely phenomenal list of clinicians there. Lower Limposium, Seth O'Neill, Eric Meara, Pete Malinaris, Ian Griffiths, Gilletta Belton, Brad Neal, Greg Lehman, Stephen O'Rourke. I said I wouldn't name them all, but I'm sort of naming the majority now. You've then got spinal pain, which is going to be talking about all things spines, from things like Roger Kerry talking about CAD and Rob Tyre talking about cauda equina. You've then got other areas, more biomechanical, such as Ash James talking about spinal sparing, Tom Jessen talking about all things sciatica. Then you've got Rob Bevan talking about as a chiropractor, how does he work in a contemporary manner in this day and age. You've then got a core skills room, which completely reframes the notion of what would be core skills. We're doing that for the new age, the new ways of working. So you've got people like Katie Napton talking about virtual consultations and her experience from 3 years of doing it, not just reacting to doing it now, but what does it mean to be a virtual clinic. You've got people like Mike Stewart talking about communication, use of metaphor, Maddie Nicholson, motivational interviewing. You've then got Pete Moore, Heather Watson, Ben Cormack, talking about functional rehabilitation and self-management principles across a variety of different topics to talk about what it really means to be a contemporary therapist right now, truly core skills. You've then got exercise rehabilitation, talking about some of the more specifics around strength and conditioning, as well as public health variables that affect our exercise components of our care. Mike James, Matt Phillips, Uzo Ekiog, Ollie Colburn, Martin Ongwen, Andrew McCauley and Claire Minshall already in that room, to name but a few. You then got physical therapies. We want to talk about some of the sensible and evidence-based application of adjunctive therapies. People like Paul Coker, Thomas Mitchell, Leah Dwyer, Matthew Scarsbrook and Oliver Thompson talking about the application of some of our ways of working that make sense in the modern era. Really excited to see some of those sessions. We've got pelvic health, people like Elaine Miller, Melissa Farmer, Sandy Hilton and Anna Boniface joining us to talk all things pelvic health, women's health, the sensible things that MSK clinicians need to know, as well as some more specialised elements of triage and understanding the way in which things like incontinence and sexual dysfunction affect things like pain. We've also got a stream called The Business of Therapies. Really looking forward to hearing from people like Malcolm Sloan, Meg Lowry, Andy Hosgood, Michael Schumacher about marketing, app development, digital technologies, as well as some mistakes that people make when trying to understand that corner of the industry. Really important time for us to, as a broad community, regardless of what sector you work in, to understand the way in which the industries and the sectors within the industries need to work together across MSK. We've then got a room I'm probably most excited about, which is a room full of sort of panel discussions through MSKR. What is the landscape going to look like in the future, post-COVID? Talking about workforce planning, talking about sector by sector integration, what's insurance and policy going to adapt to through the arm's length bodies, as well as all sorts of different ideas that MSKR were already floating, but through the COVID crisis we've been talking about solution-based thinking. What is it that's in the MSKR manifesto and some of the MSKR-based ideas from our members that can really drive us forward into a post-COVID landscape? And it's absolutely phenomenal, some of the confirmed speakers for that. We've got our associate directors that are of course working on that, so people like Paula Deacon, Emma Salt, Rena Patel, Anne Green. We've got Neil Langridge confirmed for that, as well as a multidisciplinary approach from various different MSK professionals that are going to be joining us to talk about what the landscape might look like and how we can make adaptations as quickly as possible to put quality functional restoration, functional rehab at the heart of clinical care, and how MSK is positioned within that. So very excited. We've then got some special announcements that we'll be making in what would be a 10th room, where we're going to congregate people a couple of times a day for a big show-stopping discussion, debate type thing, but I'm going to keep that one close to my chest just for now. So really exciting. I've pretty much named, I'd probably say about 2/3 of the speakers there, so there's still more to come, more announcements to make. Keep an eye on our social media for that. Also want to make a nod to the fact that there's going to be some massive giveaways from sponsors and vendors of products and services that are going to be keeping you happy and working in clinic in this new time. So what services, what products are going to be essential, especially technologically advanced products that are going to help you in clinic in this new era? What does it look like if a show doesn't just go for quantity and goes for quality? What does it look like if some of the best and brightest minds who otherwise are going to be struggling to reach you in this difficult time can get hold of you through something like this? They're all going to be encouraged to have giveaways and offers, as well as just making sure that they understand just how well integrated this material and their work can be in education, such as what we're describing from the biggest and best in the profession. So really excited to get your thoughts on their work and their products and services as well, which is really exciting. So it's basically us emulating an in-person event as much as we can online, but also recognising that it doesn't need to be a sort of poor cousin to an in-person show. It can actually be optimised and better in many ways, and I'm not just saying that, I'm just super excited about the fact that we've got all sorts of different ways we can do that, including people love the networking aspect. Getting together with your friends, having a bit of a social, having a bit of a drink afterwards. All the things that we've noticed where we can't congregate in person, obviously a massive pub quiz on Zoom and all that sort of stuff's been happening. Absolutely we will be emulating that. The Physio Matters team are not stiff. We're not known for being for lacking humour. We're certainly well up for a social, and people will know that from our presence at various different events, and we know how to hold a party. So we will be doing all we can to virtualise that experience as well. And so do expect to hear more from us, especially on social media. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for Therapy Live on there. Make sure you're following us so you can get access, because I don't know if we're going to be able to do the party and networking elements at the same scale as the actual event. So that might well be that might need a bit of a numbers cap to it. So keep an eye on that, because if you want to get involved in that, you want to have all those sorts of elements to it and enrich your experience on the 26th of June, then make sure you keep an eye on our social media for that and be registering as soon as you've got opportunity to for that, for the social aspects as well. So please do check us out all across social media for Therapy Live, therapy-live.co.uk for more information. So really looking forward to that. Thank you so much for listening, and hope to see you all soon at Therapy Live. Take care.